Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and to another review of Solo Leveling. In this episode I'm going to go over episode 3, first by doing a recap and then giving my overall general thoughts. So there will obviously be spoilers. So if you haven't checked out this one yet, then I recommend doing so before you watch this video. Of course, before we get into all that, if you're a fan of my content and would like to support this channel, please consider hitting the like and subscribe buttons, as well as hitting the bell icon to be notified whenever my new videos drop. I cover animes like Solo Leveling, as well as Western movies coming out of Hollywood, like the MCU and Star Wars stuff. My anime content is generally positive and goes over things I enjoy about the content, while alternatively I spend a lot of time taking a giant dump all over the things coming out of Hollywood since it's almost all completely crap. One more thing before we get into the episode. This video, as well as all of the following Solo Leveling reviews I do, are going to have a lot more still images instead of actual clips from the anime. YouTube has been hitting me and my videos, and trying to avoid copyright, I have to be a bit more careful about how I'm uploading some of these shots. So if you were wondering about some of the changes in the style, then that would be why. Alrighty then, now that that's all out of the way, let's get into Solo Leveling Episode 3. The episode opens up with Jin-woo waking up in the hospital wondering how he got there, and whether or not everything was just a dream. He notices that his leg is okay, and a few guys from the Hunter Association walk in and inform Jin-woo about the other hunters. Joo-hee's okay, but after everything that happened, she's not really up to doing any more kind of dungeon work, and the guy who was in charge of their party is fine too, but he's lost his arm, so he might have to retire. The two men tell Jin-woo that they think he might have experienced a second awakening. I don't remember if I've gone over this yet, but at some point in a person's life, they can experience an awakening where they basically get super abilities and are classified in one of the different ranks of hunters, starting at S, which is the strongest rank, and going all the way down to E, which is the weakest rank. Once this awakening happens, there's no improving it. A hunter can work on their skills or how well they work in a team, but their supernatural power within them doesn't change once it's been set at their awakening. So, a second awakening is something that's rare, but does sometimes happen where hunters can receive more power and be ranked up higher in the association as a result. The men test Jin-woo, but his power level is only at a 10, and since the average E rank gets at least around a 70, it shows you just how weak he is, as well as the fact that he obviously didn't receive a second awakening. Once the men leave, we realize Jin-woo can see what looks like a virtual notification that you'd see in a video game, but no one else can see them. His sister walks in the room to check up on him, and after questioning her about whether she can see these virtual notifications, which she can't, she leaves, and his day comes to an end. So this episode did dip slightly in quality for me, and it's because of everything I just described. For starters, one of the things that rubbed me the wrong way was the way that he was acting after he woke up. He didn't seem too freaked out by the events in the dungeon, and even more than that, when the guys told him that he may have experienced a second awakening, he gets all giddy and excited like it's his birthday. I can understand him having that reaction on any normal day, but after what just went down, it just came across as if everything that happened in the dungeon for him was no big deal. I mean, this guy essentially died, and a very brutal, bloody death, and now he's all like, whoa, cool, a second awakening, give me the test and let's find out. If you're going straight from the end of the last episode to the beginning of this one, it just feels like the shift in tone is really abrupt. Again, I get that he's been pretty weak since he's had his first awakening, and this is a chance for him to potentially change his fate and improve his life. I'm not saying it wouldn't be a big deal for him, but I feel like in this moment, his thoughts and feelings should be for Lee Joo-hee, or how she's doing, or maybe about the sad reality that most of the other hunters actually died, or of just basic confusion of why his leg has somehow grown back. Another thing that felt out of place to me was the reaction of his sister when she entered the room. I mean, she did show some concern of his well-being, but it was the same level of him, say, catching a simple cold. Does she not know that the other hunters found him almost dead? Does she not know that almost everyone in their group died? It was just this passive, hey, don't you worry me like that again, okay? And then she just leaves, and that's that. I would have expected her to have dropped down beside his bed and started crying and saying things like, "Oh my god, you could have died. I could have lost you. Don't you ever go into another dungeon again." You know, or something like that. Her bland reaction makes it seem like they're not even that close. But if that was the case, then why is he risking his life to put her through school? On that topic, why is he even putting her through school in the first place? I get why he's paying for his mom's medical treatment since she's basically in a coma, but why is he paying for his sister's college? I mean, she seems able-bodied enough. Can't she just work a part-time job like everyone else? Well, anyways, once the day ends, Jin-woo receives a penalty from one of these virtual messages for not working out and gets teleported to some desert where he needs to survive for 4 hours without getting eaten by a giant centipede. This was stupid to me. I mean, 4 hours? From what we know so far, there's no indication that Jin-woo has received any special abilities that would allow him any kind of advantage to survive in this scenario. Maybe it was meant to be played up for laughs, but it just seemed extreme to me and almost impossible. There's a scene after this, or maybe before, I'm not quite sure I remember when, but there is a scene where a hunter named Cha is speaking with a guy from the Hunter Association about taking on an instructor role in an upcoming B rank raid. She was introduced in one of the other episodes very briefly, but we still don't really know that much about her other than that she's somewhat famous and is considered a pretty powerful hunter. Joo-hee hears that Jin-woo has recovered and goes to see him in the hospital and finds him exercising outside. She never goes down to meet him and they never speak, I guess because she's really unsure of what to say to him, and after everything that's happened, it does kind of make sense. We learn that each day Jin-woo completes a training task, he receives these virtual notifications and they allow him to level up, and he also receives what's called a mystery box gift as well. He's been plugging all his levels into strength and eventually receives a special key in the mystery box that can access a unique dungeon. After a few flashbacks of Jin-woo's past, he decides to use the key he was given and enters a dungeon by himself to see how much stronger he's really become. Thanks to this new game-like interface, he can tell what the specific types of creatures he's facing are, and I like that. It's something that you would see in an RPG. I was wondering how they were going to start classifying some of these creatures, and I think this is a pretty good way to do it. After killing 3 goblins, a monster that's called a steel-fanged lichen shows up and breaks Jin-woo's knife, and before the battle continues, the episode comes to an end. I did enjoy this episode, and seeing these game-like mechanics and how they work is interesting, but this one isn't as good as the first 2 for me. Just some of those reactions to the previous episode seemed really off to me. It's not horrible or anything like that, but it's noticeable to be sure. Jin-woo is really quick to accept this new leveling system that he's been given, but doesn't really question it that much. Is that an issue with the writing, or is it just because he's been so desperate for a break that he's willing to accept any kind of advantage, no matter where it comes from, without thinking too much about it? Or maybe it's just something that they haven't explained yet and they're going to get more into that later on. To make a quick fix for this in this episode, before he entered into the dungeon, he could have said a quick throwaway line. Something like, "I'm going to use this key I was given to enter into this dungeon, and while I'm there, maybe I can find out more about this strange new power I've been given, or some answers to why I'm able to grow stronger now." Or, something like that. It's not perfect, and it's not that much big of a deal, especially as long as in the future episodes, they actually go into that more and how he's received these powers and all of that good crazy stuff. But in any case, I think that's gonna do it for this episode. So everything's still pretty good overall, and I'm excited to see what happens in the next episode. If you enjoyed this video, then please do consider hitting the like button and the subscribe button, as well as hitting the bell icon and maybe leaving a comment and letting me know what you thought about this video and the episode overall. As always, guys, I really appreciate you watching, and I hope you all have a great freaking day.